RPV TV presents Studio RPV, the Peninsula's local news show with co-hosts Maria Serrao and Liz Brown Swanson.
Hello, and thanks for joining us today on Studio RPV. I'm Maria Serrao.
And I'm Liz Brown Swanson. It is so great to be back here with Maria. Last time we were together was at our city's Whale of a Day.
Yes.
We were handing out balls,
stress balls.
having fun as always, and we're
Yes.
going to have an amazing time right now in this show.
We are. Our city manager, our Mihranian, is going to join us and tell us about a very special trip that he took with the council all the way to our sister city in
Sakura City, Japan, our sister city. Yes, so we want you to pack your bags, our viewers, because we are going to take you on a journey to Sakura City, so stay with us.
Will you be prepared when an earthquake hits? In Southern California, it's not a matter of if, but when an earthquake will happen. You may only have seconds to leave, so consider getting an emergency go bag like this one. Here you will find a 3-day supply of water and non-perishable food, light sticks, a first aid kit, an emergency tent and blanket. Other supplies you should have in your own go bag include a battery-operated radio, extra batteries, a charger, a flashlight, extra clothes, cash, medications, and any medical equipment you may need, such as hearing aids or reading glasses. It's also a great idea to keep shoes and a flashlight next to your bed in case an earthquake happens while you are sleeping. And for more information, you can always go to our website at rpvca.gov. We're always here to help, and remember, we are RPV together.
Welcome back to Studio RPV. We are so grateful to have here on our set joining us is our fantastic Rancho Palos Verdes City Manager, Ara Mihranian. Ara, you are so busy running our city.
Yes.
Thank you first for being here on this beautiful set, which I have to add that our city
Yes.
manager helped to pick out.
He
So thank you
did.
for doing
Well,
that.
Well, thank you for saying that, because
It's a new
I remember
set.
when we unveiled the new set and
Yes.
we were working on it. But this is the actually my first time.
This is your first time
formally
on.
being here, sitting here, and talking to you and engaging
What do
with
you
you as
think?
being interviewed. First of all, I love the set.
Me too.
I'm so glad we did a refresh. It was much
It was
needed.
great, absolutely.
And now I'm very honored to be here talking to you today.
And the reason why he's made it, because as you know, he's running our city. We have a lot going on in our city.
Yes.
But we asked him to come because he just returned last month. Ara and all of our city council were able to go to Sakura City,
Yes.
Japan.
Yep.
It's our sister city. We're celebrating 5 years of a sister
Yes,
city
in August.
partnership.
Right.
It was a special trip. You were able to carve out some time. So let's go. Let's hear all about this trip from start to finish.
And I know at first you weren't quite sure about going, so tell us that.
No. First of all, it's hard to believe that it's almost been a month
Yes.
since we've been back. I mean, it seems like it was just this flash of like you fly out to across the Pacific to Japan. You spend a few days there, and then you have to come back. And yeah, I was a little skeptical on going for a variety of reasons. I mean, we are a city in the midst of a crisis. You know, we've got a declared local emergency. There's a lot going on. And just even personally, I have a lot going on, and just here at City Hall going on, and to get up and leave for a week, and it's work.
Halfway
And so,
across the world.
Yeah, and you're going to a different country. You're going with your colleagues, your council members, and don't know what to expect. You're going to another country, and I knew going into it was going to be a lot of work.
Right.
Like you hit the ground, literally, you land. And just culturally, how the Japanese are.
Yes. We saw your schedule.
Yes,
It was action-packed.
It was a loaded schedule.
Yes.
But I'll tell you, despite my skepticism and I kept saying to the mayor and the council members, maybe I don't need to go, and maybe you guys go. And so I am so glad that I went. I during the entire trip, I kept telling myself that this is a once-in-a-lifetime experience, and that I'm so honored and privileged to have been invited to this country to represent a city, represent Rancho Palos Verdes in another city. That delegation, that's rare. That's truly, it was a remarkable experience, I'll tell you that.
And you know, they are such lovely people when they were here and they visited our city. And it's so amazing to me because we talk about many things that are similar or different. What did you find similar and different when you went there to Sakura City?
I think there are a lot of differences, especially when culture plays a factor in things. And we were asking a lot of questions. Like I was very curious, like how we were perceived by the public. Like I know for our community and here just in the United States in general, something when you've got a sister city, people question, well, how much are you spending? What is this all about and stuff? And so I was asking the same question when we went there, and how does the public perceive a sister city relationship and what's involved? And they're similar. I mean, the concerns, like these are tax dollars, you're going, what does this really mean? But I think rooted in the whole origin of our relationship was the fact that Sakura City and the Palos Verdes Unified School District for so many years have had this exchange student program. And that is the foundation, that's the root of our sister city relationship. And we were able to see that when we were there. We met students, we observed the students. In fact, the closing ceremony, there was a contest within the students, and there were awards given to different age groups and they had to write a paper, and so they read their paper about the city and what they wanted to see the future of their city, which I thought was a great theme. I kept thinking, going, this is something we need to bring to our community at a milestone event. Is what does the youth see as their city 20 years from now or something?
Because it was their 20th anniversary.
It was their 20th anniversary, and the theme of the paper was, where do you see your city? And one student wrote about soccer fields and the sports fields because he wants to be an athlete, a soccer player. Another student wrote about the environment and wanting to see their city more mindful on recycling for the environment and to keep their city clean. So I mean, these are very similar.
Things that we talk about.
I mean, they were celebrating their 20th anniversary of their founding. Of course, when they came to visit us was when we were celebrating our 50th. But we're still very young cities. I mean, we know what our issues are right now, whether we're dealing with a landslide. Was there any particular issue you thought, wow, I'm thankful I'm not city manager to deal with that, or things that they're dealing with? I know they have a much larger city council. We have 5 members. Do they have 20 delegation?
They have a much larger delegation, and what's interesting is we really got an understanding of why their city formed. Their big issue is economic development. They're outside of Tokyo. They're about an hour drive outside of Tokyo, and it's much more, I think, to our surprise, it's much more rural than we expected, but economic development is a big concern because what we understood it as, there were 2 separate cities that, because of economics and of the migration of people leaving to Tokyo and other areas for economic reasons, the 2 cities decided to come together and form, and that's why their council is much larger. And so what was really great is the first day we arrived, the first full day that we were there, and I should tell you a side story here is, I arrived a day early, and I wanted.
You're the organizer.
I'm a planner. I'm a planner. I wanted to get there, just get myself settled and stuff, and so that when the entire council flew in, that I could greet them, pick them up, and begin, and because I knew from the itinerary that it was going from the very beginning, from the minute they landed, that was it. It was like, buckle up, we're going on a journey here. And sure enough, that's exactly what happened. And there are always these unforeseen things. Councilman Peristem's flight from LAX was delayed 5 hours, 6 hours, something like that. So he was texting me as the others were on a different flight. They were leaving, and his flight was supposed to be about 30 minutes after their flight. So they were going to land basically the same time. Well, that changed. So then all of a sudden we had to adapt, and we
Logistics.
I'm like, okay, Councilman Peristam, when you take off, let me know so then we could plan this and we know when to pick you up. And what was interesting is we went to go greet the others, and it took much longer to get through customs. And we've got our ambassadors and our Sakura City representatives with us, and we were going to dinner. The first thing that they wanted to do, is once we land, pick up your luggage, get through, and we're going to dinner.
You're not going back to rest at the hotel.
And so by the time we picked the council members up, and not Councilman Peristam because he was coming later, so we had to go back to the airport to get him. But they literally took us on a coach, and we drove into Tokyo, and the airport's about like 15, 20 minutes, but they took us to the Tokyo Tower. They took us to a beautiful restaurant, like just gardens, and a very formal dinner. And I kept going.
Tell us about the food.
No, but the food is a whole other story.
Yeah,
but I kept thinking, oh my God, these people just flew, 12 hours on a plane, and the first thing you want to do is
Rest.
decompress, shower, and all this stuff. No,
we would be
we went
out
to
with
a
fish.
very high-end restaurant that was in this sort of Japanese tea garden like setting. At night, it was beautiful, and the food, it was all this like sushi and soups and noodles and just delicious food. But everyone was tired.
Yes.
Everyone was tired, and you have to be, your game on and stuff. And then we still had to go back and pick up Councilman Peristam.
what a
So he
day.
missed dinner. And by the time we picked him up, it was probably 8:30, 9 o'clock in the evening. And then we still had to drive to Sakura City to our hotel. And then as we're driving, and they're saying, it's about an hour and a half drive. But then there was traffic because it was evening. They were doing construction. We didn't get to our hotel till midnight.
Oh, Lord.
And then you check in, it's probably 12:30, 1 o'clock. And then they told us, well, at 8 o'clock in the morning, we're going to come pick you up and take you to the Sakura City Hall. And I'm going, oh, goodness. This is going to be quite an adventure.
And how was their city hall? Because I know we're trying to build a new one here.
Right.
Their city hall, it's what you would expect in a city hall in a rural community. I mean, it's this 3-story building. They've got their counter space similar to any other government agency where you've got the public interface, and then you got the behind this, the back room offices and so forth. So they gave us a tour of the entire facility, and then we were fortunate enough, and we did some ceremonial events where they welcomed us. We went into like what we call our community room. They had a community room, and there was a series of events. And what was really wonderful is they had a monitor set up, and they were playing. They had a video set up on this reel that was showing some of their visits and some of our engagements over the last 5 years.
Yes.
And so that's playing, and you're watching it, and meanwhile they were doing this traditional tea. We went through this, and we went through all this stuff and exchanging, and then we went upstairs to see their council chambers and to see what that was like, and they have to have seats for
many people.
Yes.
And talking about the exchanging of the gifts, always such a huge thing. And I know that you had gifted them a beautiful painting that Liz did a story about.
Yes.
What did they give to you?
Oh my God, I have to say their hospitality and their generosity and their sincere appreciation and gratitude, it was seen throughout every step of this trip. It was almost it was humbling and embarrassing a little bit because you're like,
you were spoiled.
we felt very, very spoiled, and it was a lot. And in fact, at some point, I said, this is above and beyond. You don't need to be doing all this. And at some point I even said, we just want to go back to the hotel and take a nap. I'm like, we just want to take...
Gifting is an important part of their culture.
But it is, and it's a sign of appreciation, and there was a lot of thought. I mean, when we were looking at what we wanted to give to them on their 20th anniversary, I think it was important to give something symbolic and representative of our community and what our community looks like. And that's where the painting came in from Tom Redfield Jr., and who's a local artist and who's been painting the peninsula for many, many years. In fact, he's got artwork displayed at Terranea. I think the painting we gifted them was perfect. It had the setting of Wayfarer's Chapel, which is iconic here, and I know it's also a victim of the landslide, which there's a story behind that too, which I think was worth sharing at the moment. But when I was walking through City Hall, they actually have a case set up with all of Rancho Palos Verdes materials, and things that we've gifted each other over the last 5 years.
Nice.
And there was a wall, as we were walking, there was a wall with all these paintings. And I said to myself, this painting is going to go on this wall. I just knew it. And I asked, and they said, yeah, that's where they planned on hanging.
That's amazing.
And to extend on that conversation about the painting, I had the opportunity, I went over to Mr. Redfield's home. He lives in Portuguese Bend Community Association. His house is impacted by the landslide. By the way, his great-grandfather believes he comes from a family of artists. His great-grandfather's paintings in the Louvre.
Wow.
So he's so talented, and it was so
It's
wonderful
in their blood.
that he donated this painting. And, I asked him about that, he found a perfect spot to paint it before that the landslide had its impact on it. It's surrounded by trees and nature.
Beautiful.
And it made me think about Sakura City, how they have their cherry blossom trees. And the fact that it was that natural setting. And also, I happened to work at Wayfarers at one point in time. A lot of Japanese couples came over and they got married at the Wayfarers. So it was a perfect gift, I think. And to explain.
Agreed.
Also hope, because it's a symbol of hope, because we're going to get that chapel back.
Yes. For sure. And that's a whole other.
That's
a whole other show.
Yes, but the painting was beautiful, and I'm sure it was well received.
Yeah.
But you mentioned the cherry blossoms in the Sakura.
Yes. Tell
Sakura
us about
City
that.
is the cherry.
Yes.
So we arrived. We went peak. It was peak season. it is when tourism to Japan is at its peak, because everyone's going there for
the cherry
cherry blossoms. And of course, as we were flying over, that's when the state announces that cherry blossom season's official. So, and it's interesting because when you look at the microclimates of Japan, the cherry blossoms bloom differently depending on where you are geographically. And so they were in full bloom in Tokyo. But in Sakura, there were some trees that were in bloom. Like at City Hall, there was a tree that was in bloom. But we actually, one of our many excursions that they took us on, we went to one of their parks. It's a ginormous park, and it's where all the cherry blossoms are at. And it was very, very special about that visit is they planted 3 trees in honor of our city, and there's a plaque. And so we were able to go in, and as part of one of the ceremony events is we planted those trees.
I saw the
photos
photos of that.
I
saw photos of that planting of the trees. We have that to share with our viewers. We also have you in I think is it a bamboo forest? You look like you were having way too much fun.
Oh my God.
I love
Tell us
that.
about that.
Yes.
That was like the last, at the very end of the trip, and I think we all just kind of just let loose, and we took a tour of a bamboo forest, which very interesting how small our worlds are. 2 stories I have to share. When we were at Sakura Airport, not Sakura Airport, but Haneda Airport, and we were waiting for the council to arrive. Mayor Bradley was there because he came early as well, and we were standing there, and we had some flags with RPV flags just to kind of welcome the council. And this person comes up to us and says, "Are you from Rancho Palos Verdes?" This random person, and we said yes. He goes, "I live in Rancho Palos Verdes. I'm waiting for my son who's getting off the plane to go to university, and he lives off PV Drive East." And so, so here we are. We connected with this one person at the airport. So then we go to the bamboo forest, and this is this day excursion. They were going to take us through this forest, and Japan's known for their bamboo and stuff. And our guide turns out, lived in the Ladera Linda neighborhood for many years, and she lives in Sakura. So she was like, "You guys are from Rancho Palos Verdes. I lived there for 20 plus years," and so there was this instant connection, and she took us through this forest, and it was just stunning.
That's amazing.
There's a spot where they have this obstacle course, and they have this swing set, and I think everyone just let loose,
Have
and
fun.
we were all, and even our delegation that was with us, these Japanese in their suits and their dress shoes. They were on the swing set. They were doing the obstacle course. We were timing each other.
That's amazing.
It was a lot of fun. There was a
fun.
lot of laughter,
You
a lot
deserve
of
that.
fun.
Yes,
it was nice.
Absolutely.
It was nice.
What do you think you'll remember the most about the trip?
God, there were so many moments. I think what I really appreciated, and I mean this, was spending the time with the council.
Every council member was there.
Every council member was there, and really getting to know, and some, council member Ferraro brought her granddaughter, council member Lewis brought his two sons, and so it was really great to see different generations and even get to know the people you work with on a different level.
Absolutely.
And stuff, and it was great. Everyone clicked very well. You're spending like 12, 13, 14 hours together. I'm literally on a coach, and we were having so much fun. The conversations and the questions that we were trying to understand about our sister city. That was a huge highlight. You know what I also appreciated is the day we went to the park to see the cherry blossoms. We also went to a local museum, art museum, and seeing the paintings by local artists, Japanese, were just beautiful pieces of artwork. That really left. I was looking as I was walking through the gallery. I'm like, I'd love to take this and put this in my living room. I'd love to put this in my hallway.
Did you bring yourself home a goodie?
Yes.
Or two?
No, we brought back.
Besides a postcard.
No, I didn't bring. I'm not much of a shopper when I travel. And first of all, I pack so much. I don't have an inch of space in my luggage to bring anything. In fact, we ended up buying at some point we were driving around in these coaches, and it was just one coach actually, and so they kept passing around this box of like these candy bars in it. At some point, and you know me, anyone who knows me, I'm like, I'm just pass. And finally I said, what's in this box? And they said, oh, it's Kit Kats. The candy bar Kit Kats.
Like our Kit Kats?
Yeah.
Well,
Their
not
Kit
like
Kat
our
version.
Kit.
Okay.
It's their version of our Kit Kats, but it's this box of like, they're like 40 flavors in this, and I'm like, you mean all these are Kit Kats? And they're like, apparently in Japan, Kit Kats are a very popular candy, and they have like hundreds of flavors.
So did you try one?
And and to this day I haven't tried. I have not tried one, and maybe I will eventually. But we brought back about 100 some. Different flavors, and we gave them out to all the staff and at the park sites and stuff. Just a taste of some of the Kit Kats, the Kit Kat craze of Japan. So
wow,
it sounds like an incredible journey. We have a slogan here: "We are RPV together." You made that happen when you met former RPV residents.
That's amazing.
And to build the cultural ties, it's a lot of. You can't.
Who'd known? And here you are. You're having people come up to you and saying, "Oh, I know Rancho Palos Verdes. I live there, or I live there now," and stuff. Yeah,
it's such a small world. Isn't
it is. It is, and it just tells you this bond that you have across this ocean is a very tight, and you're closer than you really think.
And rumor is they're coming back to visit, possibly.
Of course, we've got the 5-year anniversary coming up in August, and I don't know if that's going to materialize, but our doors are always open, and they raised the bar.
Yes, they did.
So I remember it was our last night, and we were in the bus, and we were all talking about, okay, when they eventually come visit us, what are we going to do? Where are we going to take them? because they took us everywhere. I mean, we spent the day in Tokyo. We went to a shrine. It's just all over the place. I mean, we did so many different excursions. We started to categorize and log down like all the different places and experiences that we would want to share with them when they come out.
And
here.
I know they had a lovely time when they were here as well.
Yes,
It was very
you were
busy.
part of their delegation because we took them, I think, to the Dodgers game.
We went to an Angels game then.
It was
because
Angels.
Shohei
Yeah, it
Ohtani-
was with
Now
the
you'll be
Angels
going to a
before.
Dodgers
Yeah.
game.
Now they'll be going to a Dodger
I
game to
guess
see
so, yes.
Shohei. And, you know, just backtracking on what you said about when you got there, you were kind of off and running. When they came here the first time, they got off the plane and met us at Angel Stadium. And I said, oh, when did you arrive? And they said, an hour ago. And I thought, aren't they exhausted? Same thing, but they were like, no, we're ready to go. So
they have
are.
so much energy.
They do.
But you know what? I have to say, I was so impressed with the council. We were up. We were ready. We were downstairs in the lobby when they told us. We were always 15 minutes early, and that was sort of I always told the council, like, we have to be down there at 7:30, even though the call time was 7:45. You kind of learn to give a little. They caught on to that. They're like, we always seem to be here about 15 minutes earlier than they come and they arrive. I'm like, you figured
Because
it
with
out.
our city manager, early is on time.
Well, yeah, they say if you're on time, you're already late. So that's
the last thing you want to do is upset your, and Japan, they're
Prompts.
so like by the second.
Yes.
Everything is like punctuality and
so great.
yes, so.
Well, thank you so much for coming to visit us today.
Oh, thank
and
you for
share
having me.
all of this
Yeah.
because it was such a special, like you said, a once in a lifetime
It
experience.
really was. It really was, and I could talk about it for hours.
And it's thank you in
It's
Japanese, arigato.
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 Yes.
Arigato.
How was your Japanese?
not good at all.
But you learned a few words.
I think I was teaching English more than I was learning Japanese. So
That's great, though.
Well, thank you for
Yeah,
all
thank
that.
you
It's
so
very
much.
exciting to
Yep.
be part of your trip.
Absolutely.
Thank you for
Thanks
sharing this
being
with the
here.
community. I think it's important that the residents know what
goes on.
what it's like, and if they go to Japan and they need to go to Sakura City
Absolutely.
and go by their city hall and say, I'm from Rancho Palos Verdes.
And they would love that.
Oh,
of course.
and Sakura would welcome.
They would.
them. Yes.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you
yes,
so
thank
much.
you. All right, there's more coming up on Studio RPV. We'll be right back.
So, Maria, I've been grateful for all the trips I've taken. I've never been to Japan.
I have
but
not
Ara
been
has.
either.
I want to go.
I want to go too. Bunny Island. I want to go there. And you have a new little bunny, Liz.
I do.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And you know that new little bunny practically came on Easter, hopping every. I just
Yes.
I'm so excited. I'm now a grandmother.
I know.
And
Look out shopping.
Oh, I know, because I had a little
Yes.
granddaughter girl, Sophia Rose. She was born on April 13th. Super special
so
little grandbaby.
cute.
Of course, I'm just, she's precious. But you know what? She was born April 13th, Maria, another Rancho Palos Verdes resident legend.
Yes.
Mart Cohn on the same day, April 13th. I was
amazing.
at her birthday party. So happy birthday again to Mart. 105. She is a legend because she's a Holocaust survivor. She's a Jewish spy, author, mother, grandmother, an amazing woman, and a role model that my
Yes.
granddaughter one day will learn about and look up to.
That's right. In stylish clothes, no doubt. All right. Thank you so much for joining us today on Studio RPV. I'm Maria Serrao.
I'm Liz Brown Swanson. Thanks for joining us.
See you next time.